So let me pose it as a fresh question then. Mark, what's your experience, what's your client's experience in handling this content, this multiplicity of content within the home?
Essentially, where the connected device supplier sits is they're purely an enabler. You know, we provide that technology to allow people to watch television wherever they want to watch it. But I think one critical thing is that the small screen got bigger. I think initially when people were talking about mobile TV 2 or 3 years ago, we're talking about a very, very small screen and saying, how are people going to see anything on it? I think what's happened is as smartphones have developed, like the iPhone, etc., that screen's actually got bigger. Yes. So you're seeing people watching and consuming television, video-based media on things like iPods, iPhones. So those screens have actually got bigger. I think the other thing is, in Sling Media's terms, some of the research they've done shows that people use Sling for watching a lot of sports content.
Yes.
That's come out in statistics, so it obviously shows that people are happy watching that unpurposed sporting content.
I do remember one of the experiments for DVB-H, which, you know, of fond remembrance. But if you remember that Nokia phone, because I had one until it was stolen, was almost that size. Battery life wasn't quite as good as this, but they found that some of the youngsters included in the test, and they did the major test in Oxford. Some of the youngsters were sat in the same room as mum and dad. Mum and dad were watching a show on the big screen. The youngster was watching the same show on his small screen, just to be different from mum and dad, and because it could be done. And in fact, that was happening. They were perfectly content with watching the same broadcast content, but on their own device. It was personal to them.
Well, I think we've raised a very interesting point, though, isn't it, from this debate, which is who actually is consuming.
Yes, exactly.
Because if you take the sort of the more advanced years, for want of a better way of describing myself, way of looking at it, there's a viewing habit that's been brought up over time. And if you now look at the people who tend to be the major, I would imagine, user of the iPhone in all its capabilities, there's probably quite an age difference. So the question, I think, then moves on, taking the points that have been raised in terms of production content. I think it raises an interesting question in terms of what will happen when the people who are using the iPhone today become the ABC One mid-30s, early 40s viewer, and what does that do in terms of IPTV and the lean forward, lean back?
Sure.